Testing, 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 testing. Okay. Excellent. Okay, I think we're nearly ready to go live. 1 second. Hello, and welcome to what I think is maybe my fourth live show to date. We've done one on trade tools, we did one on Mac, most recently we did one about EPM and what is EPM, and today's live show is all about help desk features. So 5 essential features for support teams, I guess. Really, I think what we'll do is we'll crack on and just get through, and we're just going to do a quick check to make sure everything is good here. Yep, it is. Perfect. Right, so we're going to carry on, and I'm going to get through this. So basically, if I can just welcome you to the show, and all the usual things apply. It's live. It's probably all going to go wrong because it generally does. I've got so much stuff, buttons and things to push and everything else. I can show you the setup here. It looks a bit messy, but basically it's sort of a lot of stuff to have to coordinate. So I'll try my very best and make sure that I do all the cuts in the right place, and hopefully everything will work, and all shall be well. Anyway, right then. So on to the topic of today's live show, which is all about the support teams and help desk, and basically what I'm going to be talking about is these 5 things that are part of the Ambient Bar Request Zero Trust platform that can really help support teams and help desk folk, and really address, I guess, 5 common problems. So those problems are overprivilege in help desk teams. Now, it's so common actually these days that we talk to customers, and you were talking to them about EPM and privilege and removing admin rights and giving granular admin rights back to users, and they would sometimes they would come back and say, oh, we've removed all the admin rights from users, that's totally fine, so we're sort of good. And then I will say to them, well, have you removed admin rights from all of your users? And they'll say, oh, of course we have, yes. And I say, well, what about the help desk guys? And they're like, oh, well, they're not really users. But of course they're users. The zero trust, the 0 bit. You need to make sure you're managing privileges everywhere. So the last thing you want is to have help desk teams with full privilege across the entire organization, unrestricted access to do whatever they like on whatever system, because that's really the recipe for, like an insider infection, and quite a common cause of those sorts of, ransomware, malware attacks, is that although you've removed admin rights from no users, when the user has a problem, and someone from the help desk kind of comes in, that help desk person might be installing something on behalf of the user, and so therefore that's when problems are going to occur. So we want to manage the privileges not just of the what we call the standard user, but also of the help desk users too. It's very important. The time to respond. So that's, we talk about privilege management and just in time. Well, actually, just in time is just in time. It's not just in a minute or just in 20 minutes or whatever. It's very important for acceptance to make sure that the responsiveness of any system is pretty much real time. And this can be a problem with systems that require users to be at a computer to do things, approvals. And I actually remember a customer of ours that had a competing product and felt like she was chained to her desk because she literally couldn't go for a coffee because, someone might be asking for an approval, and, if she wasn't at her desk, then that wouldn't happen until she got back. So to be able to respond quickly when you're not at your desk is important, and that's a challenge. Visibility of landscape, really that's all about, again, having really good fresh data on your IT landscape, so you can use that to understand what's going on and maybe even help you solve problems. So we'll look at that. What else? Reliability to rescue. So this is all about having a solid means, a dependable means of, rescuing a situation in the context of EPM. So that would be break glass. And then finally, alien access. I'm not talking about flying saucers here. I'm talking about access for third parties. So that might be third party people external to you coming in and needing to access stuff in your setup, or it might be that you're the third party and you need to access something at a customer site. So you're technically the external party and you need to access something to help a customer of yours. And the challenge there is twofold. Actually, you've got the connectivity issue. So I might need to access something in multiple sites, and different sites might have different VPNs or different directories. And then, of course, you've got the authentication problem is that, I need to access something on a customer site. I would need that customer to onboard me into their whole setup. And that, that could be a bit of a problem because, you want to keep a separation between who is in your organization, who is in your directory. You don't really want to be creating accounts for external people in your system. Because once you go in and you do your stuff, you go out and you'll end up being part of the residue that's left in there. So anyway, those are the sort of 5 things that we come across customers have problems with, and we're going to look today at features that will help you combat those in turn. So let's get started. So the first one is a functionality that exists in our EPM product, so it's Admin BioQuest EPM, which is called Support Assist, and then also a functionality of our Secure Remote Access product, which is Remote Support. And the two work really nicely together to enable you to have, help desk teams without privileges, being able to manage user endpoints, again, without privileges, but to, as you'll see in a minute, be able to context switch the Admin BioQuest settings to give allow the remote supporter to do privileged actions, but with full control. So we're going to dive into this right now. So this is where I've got to remember to start changing the screens, and I'm going to do that right there. So here we have on my desktop here, I'm logged into my portal, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the inventory system, and I'm going to log in to an Entra joined system. And I'm going to run that on the right hand side of my screen, so you'll be able to see both at the same time. So actually I'm using our unattended access functionality here. So let me just do this, and I'm going to basically do that. So I'm just going to be logging into the desktop. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Should get me in. Perfect. Okay, so on the left hand side we've got the portal, and on the right hand side we've got a user who's basically the user that needs support, essentially. And so really, if we have a look at the users, the behavior really of the user, we've got what have I configured here? I've probably got have I got approval turned on? I think I might have. So the user would need to request approval for elevating certain things. I think I've got a rule in here that blocks the user from installing Oracle stuff. So you can see here that I've got a message saying I can't do this, I need to call the help desk. And I might have used, well, I think also did I block? I can't remember if I did this, so I might not have done this. Let's just see if I did actually block command prompt from being, my right click isn't working, come on. Oh, maybe I'll do that. Command. Run as administrator, I'm not sure if I blocked this, possibly I didn't block it. Oh, it needs approval. Okay, well, I could have blocked it, but you can see here that I can't do stuff with command prompt. I can't do any Oracle stuff. I might have given the end user some tray tools, but just, device manager and network adapter settings, and that is all. So anyway, imagine I need to do that Oracle software install. The prompt was I need to call the help desk. So, with another system, I would have to put a ticket on, maybe have to do a remote session using like the team viewer. I'd be sharing the screen, and then we'd have all the issues with the privileges, because maybe I'd be completely overprivileged. So what I'm going to do is the user is going to invoke remote support, and it looks very similar to the EPM. So I can just say need to install Oracle software. Okay, like so, and the request is sent in, and over here help desk would be alerted, and you can see that we've got the request has come in. There's the reason. So I'm going to approve, and what this does now is it's going to launch the MFA. So I'm going to have to pass this like so. I'm going to just like so. And so I need to get my phone out. Okay, enter that. Like so. So the remote support uses, our remote support functionality uses standard MFA. So the user will now get a prompt asking if they want to accept the request. And then you'll now see that on the left-hand side, the remote support person is what they see, and on the right-hand side is what the user sees. So far, so good. However, this is just a screen share. So what that means is that the user has got a certain app in request settings profile, and the help desk person is just seeing the user desktop. So at this stage, the help desk person can't do anything more than the user, because we're just sharing the screen and sharing the settings. So this is where the support assist functionality comes in. So I'm the remote supporter, so I would go into remote support. Oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Sorry, wrong button. I would go into about, and then I would go to assistance, click next, single sign on, because we want to use that. And then here is where, as the help desk person, I would need to authenticate. So this is my help desk user, like so. Very important to remember here that the help desk user in question is non-privileged. Okay, so again, I need to do the MFA to make sure the help desk user is who they say they are. Good. Okay, so the help desk user is non-privileged. But what happens here is that the help desk user essentially imports the help desk admin bar request settings, overlays it, context switches it on the user profile. So you could see that, for example, the tray tools that are accessible now, I've got services that I can launch to do stopping and starting of services. You also saw uninstall programs that could be very useful for help desk people to be able to do that. Maybe I don't want my users to do that. What else? Well, the Oracle software. So I can now run the Oracle software to install. And the really good thing here is that we have the OpSwap MetaDefender integration. Well, everything that the help desk team is doing now, like running this installer, also has to pass the MetaDefender multi-engine reputation check. So previously, you without this solution, you'd have your EDR, single engine, which is fine. But if there are threats out there that are not picked up by your EDR, then you're potentially at risk. So with this way of doing it, you're not using a full privileged account. The likelihood of the help desk team actually triggering some sort of infection is far less, because it has to get through that multi-engine scanner. 35 I think is the maximum number of engines that you have to pass through to be able to launch something like this. Okay, so that's super good. And obviously also, because we don't have our help desk staff having fully privileged use on all systems, I can configure app in bar requests so that I'm allowing certain teams within help desk to access and do certain things on certain systems, and with full audit as well. And finally, if I did want to run anything, including PowerShell or command prompt, I don't have to go through that approval process, because I haven't enabled that for my help desk team. I want those guys to be able to do stuff like this, but without the need to go through approval. So that's really the main thing. So I'll just and the other thing I'd just point out as well is that you could use the support assist functionality with another remote sharing solution, but the great thing about using our remote support solution is that there are integrations between the two. So for example, if you did get cut off, we would actually stop the support assist session at the same time. So you're not left with a support assist session on the user side running because because the support person's got cut off. So that's another benefit, and other benefits too, that it's the same agent, so you don't have to have a separate remote support agent, and also the other benefits that you get with the platform. For example, if I was to go into the audit log here and go to remote support, I can see here is the you can see the session that was done, and I can request a video recording of everything I've just done now, just showing you, and that will come up here, and I'll be able to review that at some point later on. And of course, just using the EPM side logs as well, I get a nice joint log of the support person, Adam, that was doing the thing, and the end user as well. So that is a very nice little intro into two really great features within Ambient Bar Request: the remote support, which is part of the Secure Remote Access product, and then the support assist, which is part of the EPM product. And all of this functionality, by the way, is possible for you to do on our free plan. You get 25 workstation endpoints, 10 server EPM endpoints, and with Secure Remote Access you get 25 device as well. So you can do all of this with our free plan, which I think is pretty cool. Anyway, so I think I've shown you everything there is to see on that one. So you can see how that would be an extremely useful functionality for support and help desk teams. Right, okay, let's go back and let's go and have a look at the next one, mobile app. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, the mobile app is a really good way of enabling support people to do stuff when they're just not at their desk, and that's kind of important because everyone is not always at their desk. You may need to approve someone when you're in a meeting or out or something, and it's people are, if they're getting delayed, that's when just in time becomes not quite in time enough. So Admin by Request for a very long time has had a fantastic mobile app, and I'll just give you a quick sneaky peek. So let's see which is probably the best one is this one. So I can show you. Well, let me go in. Just get bank details in. Careful. So this is the mobile app, and if you can see here, we can go to the audit log. We can go requests and the inventory, all this stuff you can see with the mobile app. But the really good thing is that you can do approvals on here, and this is a Mac, an Apple, and also an Android app as well. So and it's just included with the product, including the free plan. So I definitely recommend having a good look at this. So I'm going to switch views now to a joint one, which I think is this one, so I can just show you. So the screen thingy is in the middle of the phone is in the middle of the page here, so just have to bear with me on this one. So I'm going to I've no longer got the support assist running, so I'm as a user now. If I want to do something as admin, I have to go through that approval process. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to just go through here. I'm going to say I need to install VLC. I'm going to hit OK. Now, what I've discovered something quite interesting, and that is that for some odd reason, when I'm using an HDMI external feed, I don't get my Apple bubbly pop-up things, whatever they're called. They don't work, and if I disconnect the HDMI, they do work. So I'm not quite sure why that is the case, but you do get what it's called a bubble or something, a notification bubble that instantly push to the phone when you do submit the request, but you won't see it on this phone because of this odd thing going on with the HDMI that I need that so I can show you the screen. And the other thing interesting is I've discovered to my rather displeasure is that I upgraded this phone here is my old phone, and a 13 mini. It's quite nice and small, and I went up to a 16e, the new 16e, which is nice because it's a bit smaller. So I was actually quite pleased to get my hands on that. But then I discovered that Apple took out the external HDMI feed feature, which is really annoying because every phone before the 16e had it. So it's a bit of a geeky fact there, but if you're looking for a new phone and you're thinking about a 16e and you're doing lots of broadcasting, I would not recommend getting a 16e. Right then, so I'm going to click OK. As mentioned, you would normally get the bubbly pop-up thing straight away. In this case, you don't. You will get the request in the portal. You'd also get the request coming up in Teams or in ServiceNow. You will also get it on the phone, and you'll see it appear here. Here we go. And just this is a really nice thing. So if I was to go to click on here, you can see I have the information. I can see all the info I need to basically, here's the reason, and I can decide right here if I want to approve. So I'm going to hit approve and watch on the right hand side the speed of the notification. Remember, the right hand side is the end user. That's their desktop. On the left hand side is the person doing the approval. So if I hit approve, boom, look at that. It's pretty much instant. And that really is, in my view, proper just in time, like real time. And that's you can see how there's a big difference between I need to get back to my desk, I'm going to open my browser, I'm going to mess around with stuff, or just boom, just click the, that's a massive difference. So I definitely would think that's going to solve a lot of, it's going to make a lot of people a lot happier, a lot less stressful, simply because you've got that ability to react. And we also have just mentioned, where's the best screen for this? It's this one here, isn't it? So let's go back to the phone. We've got the inventory system, so you can go in and you can see, good details. So it's also very useful. We'll have a look at the inventory next, but you can get pretty much most of the information you can get on the portal, you can get on the phone, on the app here, including the full audit log, and that's handy as well. Because we have situations where we've got a spare minute and we might just want to check on something when we're not at our desk. So I think the mobile app is fantastic. And as mentioned, it's just included. It's just there. Download it. It really makes our EPM solution so much nicer to use. So there we go. That is the mobile app. Okay, so let's go on to number 3, inventory. So I didn't mention inventory, and this is an interesting thing really, because inventory is something we've always had in the product and we sort of ignore it. And I recently went on a customer trip to the Far East, to Singapore, and we went to go and see some customers. And when I asked one of those customers, what was their favorite feature, I was expecting support assist or break glass or whatever. And actually, she came back and said inventory, which was sort of surprising. And the reason why this particular customer liked inventory so much is just because the data in the inventory is really up to date and fresh and real time. And that's just something that we at AppInBioQuest have always got used to. But apparently, it is not the case in other systems, in SCCM or in Intune. It may take a while for the right data to turn up or the wrong data to go away, and that's creates uncertainty and frustration and generally annoyance. So if I switch to am I on the right camera here, let me just go to the right hand screen. So it's pretty self-explanatory here, but you have an inventory. So when you install AppInBioQuest, the system will check in with the portal and automatically you will get a full inventory performed on the endpoint or the server that you've installed the product on. And that includes some useful information. So the computer information, who's logged in, system information, including the build and install dates, compliance status, information about the hardware, the TPM version, whether or not BitLocker is on or off, the disk health, geolocation, which you can turn off, and also the primary network adapter IP addresses too. In addition to that, you also get a full software load, which is really, really useful. And as mentioned, this will change pretty much instantly whenever you add or remove software. In addition to that, you also get the the groups, so that would be the computer groups and the user groups of whoever is logged in right now. And that in itself is very handy indeed. The inventory is accessible through our API as well. So there's lots of things that you can do with a little bit of REST API code to leverage this very useful data. And actually my favorite part of the inventory isn't actually in the inventory itself. It's hidden away in a report, which is the software inventory report. And this has been really useful for me in the past when I've had situations, for example, where a customer says, oh, something is working on these systems but not those systems. And it's kind of like, what's the difference? How do I find out what, maybe there's some sort of difference in the version of Edge. So you just type in the application name and very quickly what you get back is a really nice kind of representation of the different versions of Edge on which computers. And that actually can be very handy if, for example, the problem I had was with, these three computers, and these ones were fine, that would give me a very strong, or these two, sorry, would give me a very strong indication that the issue might be something to do with this version of Edge, and maybe I should update them. So kind of like a spot the difference troubleshooting thing I find is very, very useful. Obviously nothing really to do with EPM or secure remote access, but it's just like a little, I wouldn't say hidden feature, but it's a really handy feature that I know customers have just become to love, because it is just so solid and useful. And like I said, you can see which computers have the product, and also which computers don't have the product. So you could do lots of have lots of logic to help you understand and troubleshoot issues just simply by doing reports like this. So I can totally understand why the inventory system is very popular, and I think we should be doing perhaps a little bit more with it to allow a bit more functionality there, because certainly it's as I said, we take it for granted because it's always been there, but I think certainly there's certainly more stuff we can do with that. But anyway, I can see that being a very helpful tool for support teams in figuring out, for example, why certain systems behave differently than others. Okay, so that is inventory. Let me go back to here, and then we're going to get through to break glass. Okay, so what is break glass? So break glass is for those of you out there that know Microsoft Labs. So Microsoft Labs, the local app and password solution, been around for quite a while, and you configure it with Active Directory, or if there's something called Cloud Labs, which is now in Entra. And basically, as long as your computer is joined to the AD or Entra, a kind of Labs user is put on all the endpoints. Then you have password cycling, and that user is a full admin, so that user account has to exist in the local admin group. And that's there's a few problems with it. And the problem is that you don't really want to have a full admin, permanent admin in your local admin group, even if it is getting rotated. The second issue is, what if your domain join or your Entra registration breaks? Then your password cycling probably is going to break as well. So that's going to give someone a forever admin. And also, I think it just needs to be managed, and it's not one of those things that is you can just forget about. You do have to constantly make sure that everything is working, and in particular, with updates to the OS and updates to, the if it's Active Directory or the lab system itself. So it is something that is causes problems for help desk teams, and also the other thing I would say is when you're giving out people lapse usernames and passwords, that's not really privilege management. That's sort of giving people full admin. So it's not really something you should be using on a day-to-day basis to give people admin. With us, it's an emergency measure, which is why we call it break glass. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly show you how to invoke a break glass, and when I do this, you'll see something quite interesting, which actually does change the use of the functionality a bit as well. So let's go back over to here. So you will instigate a break glass through the inventory, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just open up the command line or PowerShell here, and I'm going to do a net local group administrators, just to show you that there's no break glass account here. This account is an SRA account. That's not break glass, but that's all there is in the local admin group. So let's imagine that the computers become unjoined from the domain, or enter a registration problem. Maybe I've disabled the built-in account, which is best practice. I wouldn't be able to use any of the domain admins group, and I wouldn't have any other local admin kind of backdoor account. So in this situation, I'd be a bit stuffed. Possible, I might even have to ask the user to do a reset. So with break glass, you don't need to do that. So I can just click on the inventory item here, click on break glass, and then you see here the first big difference between the break glass and Labs is that with break glass, the account doesn't exist permanently. We send the account to the endpoint, okay, and it's instant. Now, it didn't used to be instant; it used to be collected, and previously, because of that, the creating of a break glass account was very much something that you would do to enable a user to get in, because it was up to the user to either force the collection of the credentials or reboot the endpoint. It was fine, but it did require some user interaction on the other side. However, recently we've put in some really cool stuff, which means now that the break glass is sent instantly. And that actually opens up the potential for another type of use for break glass that wasn't possible before. Anyway, so let's just go to like a 15-minute break glass account. And by the way, I would need to have the permission to generate this account in the portal. So it's not like anyone in the portal can do it. You'd have to give someone in the portal the rights to be able to see the computer in the inventory first, and second of all, to be able to actually see the break glass tab. Okay, so I'm going to click generate account like so, boom. And then if I go over here and rerun the command again, you can see the break glass account is there instantly. Okay, in addition, you see a nice log of who actually issued the account, and created means it's actually on the endpoint. So I could give those credentials to a user to rescue a system, and they wouldn't need. We could then log in, and we could rejoin to the domain. We could re-register with Entra, and that would prevent having to do the full reset. But also, and that is a 15-minute window on interactive login to do what needs to be done, and then after or at 15 minutes, it's a forced kick out. Or if the user finishes before, it gets destroyed. Now, the other thing which is quite interesting with break glass is that the credentials are sent straight away, and before interactive login, the credentials exist. Like, for example, right now, I've not logged in with this account. That user account and the credentials exist on that system for a maximum of 1 hour. Okay, and after an hour, it'll also get destroyed. But then you've got this 1 hour window where someone from the help desk team could use those credentials, perhaps remotely, to do stuff without even needing the user interaction as well. So, and that's only possible because the account is immediately sent without the need for the user to do anything. As long as the computer's online, the person that issues that break glass account could actually use those credentials to fix something or do something remotely using, I don't know, PSExec or something, without the need to even request the user to do anything on their side. And as I mentioned, that's only possible now because the break glass sending pushed is instant. Okay, so that in itself is a really, really handy feature for support teams. It's built into the product. It just works. It doesn't need to be configured. It works on Windows. It works on Mac. And very soon, it'll also be working on Linux, which I'm quite looking forward to. So that, I think, is a fourth really good functionality for support teams. I'm just going to clear this account, and then what will happen is that the account will disappear on this endpoint, and it'll all be audit logged as well. Okay, we're on to the last of the 5. And this, I've saved the kind of the best one, what I think is probably the most exciting one to last, and that is remote access to alien systems or aliens coming in and accessing my system. And basically this I think is sort of another one of these features that nobody really knows a huge amount about, but it's actually something that I think is a bit of a hidden gem in our secure remote access product. So we all have remote access systems. We all know of systems that allow us to get remote access to things within our organization, but it's very common that at some point in time you're going to need to ask someone outside your organization to come in and look at something or fix something, a vendor, a consultant, even, just someone that's outside your organization. And also, there might also be times when you might need to access someone else's system, a customer system, perhaps. And the problem with that is that in order for you to get access to someone else's system, you would, in today's world, you might need, well, you would definitely need to have the connectivity. If the customer's using VPNs, you'd have to have their VPN. They'd have to create you an account. Maybe they got multiple VPNs for different sites. Lots of different cloud providers have lots of different software VPNs. So you'd have to have access to all of those and be onboarded. And likely you'd need to be added in to the customer's directory and have the MFA stuff set up. It's going to be an absolute pain. And what generally happens because of this, you start trying to resist getting external people in because it's such a pain to do. You've got to go to security, compliance, you've got to go to infrastructure, you've got to go to all these people. And the delays that causes just results in problems getting worse and worse and worse, and more and more expensive to fix. And then finally you relent and you have to let these people in. And then finally it turns out that another person has to come in because that person doesn't know the answer. So it's a real resistance dealing with the external people coming in. And actually access.work, which is a feature included with Secure Remote Access, does this really, really well. Like I said, maybe we don't shout about it enough, but I'm going to show you how it works right now. So I want you to sort of, as I've been showing you on my tenant here, which is my sort of demo tenant, and I want you to imagine that this demo tenant is the customer, okay? And I am going to fire up, here it is here. So this is access.work, and I'm going to be logging in to access.work as the external party, okay? But I'm going to be using my own MFA and not the customer's. So if I just show you how this is set up here. So being the customer, I've added in the external contractor, and all I've had to do is just put in the email, the UPN that contractor is going to use, and I had to set a scope, and I've set various scopes here. I've enabled Windows servers, Linux systems. I've also got different networks that I can get access to as well. I could put in other filters as well, computer groups, domains, for example. And these are all things that I can configure. So I control what the external person can see, and I can also control with subsettings, what the external contractor, the settings that external contractor will have to go through as well. So let's just see how easy this is. So again, I'm the external contractor, so I would want to click on here. I'm going to use, hopefully it'll prompt me to authenticate, but I've been using this as a rehearsal, so it might even just take me straight through. Let's see what happens. Oh, it did. Okay. All right. Well, it's because I've been doing some cheeky rehearsals that it would normally require me to do the MFA to get in. Anyway, so I'm now logged in as this external consultant, and you can see here, in the inventory on the customer system, I see everything, but I've only allowed for a consultant, me, external person, to come in and see certain things. So straight away you can see also I've got different configurations here as well. So you can see a padlock. So the padlock means that to access this thing I need approval. So we have the same approval flows as I showed you with the EPN. We have that in Secure Remote Access, and we have that for the vendor access feature within Secure Remote Access as well. The key means that I need to provide credentials. So because I don't have a key here, it means that the access to this thing will be completely passwordless. So I don't need to even give this consultant a username and password to access this system, which is ideal because any username and password could be shared, and I don't want that. But I do want to make sure the consultant goes through an approval process. So let's have a look at how that works. So note that the padlock is closed. So if I click connect, it's going to take me through to a request screen. So website is down, need to have a look, got approval from Bill to do this. Okay, whoever Bill is, hit submit. Okay, so I've just sent my request off as the external person, which is going to appear in the request area. Okay, you can see here. So there's the reason, and I could, phone or whatever, check around, make sure that Bill's okay with this. It may be that I don't want this person to go in just yet, so I can approve this when the time is right. Okay, so I'm going to approve it now, like so. And if I note the little padlock, if I hit refresh, you'll see the little padlock will unlock. There we go. Okay. So now I know that I've been approved. I would also have an email as well, but I know that I can go in and investigate. So if I click connect, so this is where I get an MFA as well. Hang on, I don't have my FIDO, so let me just do Authenticator instead. So yeah, we're using standard MFA, so all your conditional access stuff applies. And you should note that when I'm in, I didn't need to use a password, okay? Because the credentials are all managed by Open by Request behind the scenes. Also, I've configured this user to go on this server as a non-administrator. So you can see here that the EPM now is going to help me out. So if I can go to the website, I can see that the website is down. Okay, I could now use Admin by Request EPM to initialize the services because I'm not an admin. I don't want to give my external guy full admin to this. And then I can scroll down and lo and behold, I can see, yep, the web server has just stopped. So I can click start, something which would require admin to do. Oh, hang on a second. I've just realized I'm not sharing the screen. Apologies for that. So let me just rewind and do that again because that was my mess up there. Let me just go back here. This is what happens when I get a bit too excited and I forget to push some buttons. There we go. Someone said share your screen. Thanks, Peter. If only I could see the chat when I'm doing this. I'll just do a little rewind, and I can hopefully cut that bit out. And let me just stop the services again. So yeah, apologies for that, guys. I will. It was all going so well. We got all the way through to the last one before I messed up. So let me go ahead now and just go back to the start. So apologies for that. I'll cut all that out. We'll do that. We'll do this bit again. So anyway, you can see here that we have a system with the server, and you can see here we've got the padlock, and which means that the approval is required. And then this is the key I was talking about earlier. So this is the key, means you need to supply credentials. Okay. With the padlock on this particular server is unlocked, which means I don't need approval for that one. Okay, so we're going to go through this again, and so let's just go connect. So this is going to fire up the reason screen. So I need to read. Oh, the website is down. What did I say? Website is down. Please approve access. Bill told me to do this. Okay, fine, submit. We'll get there. So again, the padlock is still locked because it's not been approved. over on the portal side, there we go. You can see the approval, and I just need to approve. And once that's approved, you can see if I hit refresh, the little padlock will unlock. This is what I want to show you earlier. And then I can then click connect now. And then this is where I have to go and authenticate. And I think because my FIDO key is not plugged in, I might have to, maybe I'm okay. Okay. Anyway, so as mentioned earlier, I don't need to provide this user with a username and password because we're using the passwordless setting. I've also made sure the user is configured so that they're not an admin. So this just-in-time user that we've created as part of this passwordless is not an admin. So that means the user would not be able to perform administrative functions unless you've created or given them the settings to do that with the EPM part of the product. So in this case, I've configured a tray tool services to elevate. So if I was to go, let's just go back to the thing here. So I think that's probably, so the website is down. I start services here, and then I can scroll down because this is running as admin. I can then start services like so. And hey presto, it should now see a working web page. There we go. So, so that is very handy in that you can, I didn't need to onboard my external contractor into my directory. I didn't need to give them a password. I required them to go through the approval process so that they could only access the asset when I said so. And also at the end of the session, just like with the remote support, you can call up a screen recording of the entire episode. So I can go and request that now, and you can see, that will come through. So I've also got ability to have, that playback of all the stuff that contractor did. If he's fixed a problem, now I know how he did it. I might have to get him in again next time. So that's very handy. Back on this screen again, so you can see here. So this now if I've closed that session down, so this padlock will now lock again. This top system here is based in one site. I know this one here is based in a totally different site. And one improvement I think I might suggest to our product guys is maybe put in an extra column here to tell you which network or which site the assets are in, because they're all in one list and they all look like they're all in the same network, but they're not actually. This one isn't this is an IBM cloud, this one. So this is a system that is not even running an agent. So if I hit connect here, again, I'm going to go through approval. So need to look at the Linux box, whatever, hit submit, like so. Again, go back to requests, approve the connection, and then if I scroll down, you should see this padlock will open. If I click connect now, because this is not running an agent, and Secure Remote Access can enable remote access from any device that is running SSH, RDP, VNC, it's going to prompt me for credentials. Okay. This is a straightforward Linux box. Nothing particularly very exciting. There we go. I'm in. And I can, if I want to, I can do various things with this. But anyway, you can see, I've connected to this thing with approval. It's not even running an agent. That's just part of the on-prem gateway side of Secure Remote Access. So just trying to sort of highlight the benefits of being able to access many different things, potentially in other, either with customer sites or you're having people access your site without the need for giving them access to multiple VPN systems, or even onboarding them into your directory because they're using their own MFA system that they have, as opposed to you onboarding them on your system, which means that you can keep people that come in externally sort of at arm's length and have proper separation between people in the organization and people outside the organization. And that really is a really, really good feature of secure remote access. Again, all of this, everything I've shown you today is all possible to do on the free plan. Right then, okay, so I think that's probably about it. Yeah. So actually, don't we have any questions? Questions. I loiter here for a bit to see if there are any questions. Just to see, there's a bit of a delay on the stream, so I might have to wait a bit before any questions come in. But possible they may not. But we'll just see. Okay. What else? Yeah. Well, anyway. Hopefully we've shown you 5 ways that the Admin Barcast platform can really help support teams, help desk teams go about and do their jobs with fully managed privileges, with fully controlled access, and of course both situations, full audit log and screen recording in the case of secure remote access. I don't think we have any questions, so I think we will just say that it's been lovely, and the next live show I'll probably be announcing in a couple of weeks' time will be quite a good one. So look out for that. But until then, I think that's all. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Cheerio.